Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Here's my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms of Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a Second Amendment nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show. Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to the program. Thanks for coming in and joining us. We appreciate you being part of it today and coming in on this, our favorite day of the week. It is our favorite day of the week. It's our therapy session. That's what it is, our weekly therapy session where we get a chance to talk about issues related to the Second Amendment and more. Are you ready to go? We got a big day lined up today, and there's lots of good news on the horizon, including the Hearing Protection Act, the HPA, which surprisingly passed Congress. It was in one of those wild moves in Congress. It was addended to the big beautiful bill, and it was passed yesterday. We're going to be talking about that here with Rob Pincus from ICE Personal Training and Avidity Arms. He's going to be joining us here in just a minute. He's in the green room doing his thing, and we're going to be talking with him about that and all the other stuff that's going on out there in America in regards to firearms and stuff. Winning. I mean, as the you know that I'm always cautious when I talk about the president, but when he said we'd be winning so much we'd get sick of winning, I mean, I'm not to the sick part yet, but I'm pretty excited about this. It just shows yet again that with enough perseverance, we can make things happen, and here we are. We're going to talk about that today as well. We got some other headlines to jump into, including how California gun laws are no match for 6th graders. I mean it, really. They just goes California gun laws. They're tough, but they're no match for 6th graders. And we'll talk about that as well as the black market that never was in Ukraine. What else? I just had a handful of stories that I've been watching that are just like making me scratch my head. Oh, some of the new data on gun buying is just fascinating. And a great piece from a good friend of Chris Chang's. His name is David Yamane. He's a professor of sociology at Wake Forest University. He's also, I don't know if this guy stole my phrase or what. He's also the author of the book Gun Curious. I feel like he and I should have a conversation. I've been using the phrase gun curious for about 10 years. And I need to go back to look to see when he wrote his book. He may owe me a quarter. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that works. But so there's lots of good news on the horizon. Lots of good news here and on the horizon for gun owners around the country. And I'm really looking forward to breaking some of that down today. But without further ado, I see that Mr. Pincus is now ready to join us, and we're going to jump into this with him. Rob Pincus, of course, a friend of the show, ICE personal training, the Personal Defense Network, ICE combat training, and Avidity Arms and Walk the Talk America. And I mean, the guy, the Makers Match, he's got so many hats that he wears. I can't keep track. He makes me tired just listening to all the stuff that he's got going on. Let's figure out what he's got started here this morning. Good morning, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm good. I just sent a text to David. I let him know that the plagiarism accusation has been made, and he needs to answer forthwith.
Exactly, because I'm like, I have been using that phrase for years. What's the deal? And in fact, I've been wanting to get Professor Yamane on the program for a while. Chris sent me his info here about a year ago, and I sent a couple messages back and forth, but we just never hooked up. But he's got a
drink, so I'm gonna tell him, forget the drink, get on Michael's show.
Into the show. You actually shared this piece as well. I saw that you shared this piece as well. He's got a great piece out, which if we have time this morning, we'll get into, which is 5 observations from a liberal gun-owning sociologist that gives some unique perspective. And I think it's a fascinating piece that we'll get into later. But first and foremost, let's do our victory lap here. This, first and foremost, I mean, it's not premature. I mean, we're not getting too crazy, but some good news on the HPA. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I am excited. Now, I think we've done this before a couple times, because I am one of those who detest the fear-mongering that we see sometimes at the noisiest levels of the industry, at ourselves. I know we've talked about concealed carry permits in New Jersey for well over a decade, probably decades. I mean, I grew up there, obviously left there, but in my teaching in New Jersey and preaching in New Jersey, you got to apply for the permits. We got to put pressure on. Eventually, this is going to change, but we need to show that there's an interest to the legislators in New Jersey. No, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. Never happen. Well, guess what? We have permits. And I've actually now started the process of getting my carry permit in New York City. That'll never happen. Never happen. Never happen. Washington, D.C., private gun making, 3D printed guns, all this stuff. And there's this phrase that used to be thrown around a lot. Once you lose a right, you'll never get it back. And this was the call to arms, if you will, for fundraising, for, call your congressman all through the 90s. Once you lose something, and it was amazing to me after the sunset of the assault weapons ban in 2004, those were rights that we lost for a decade. We got them back. The amazing expansion of concealed carry rights over the last 30 years in the country, very clearly lost rights that we've regained. We see it time and time and time again. And now here we are, just as recently as 2 days ago. I was having 2.5 days ago now, I was having a conversation with somebody about the potential for the Hearing Protection Act verbiage to get into this giant bill. It'll never happen. And it's like we hurt ourselves, we hurt our momentum, we hurt our motivation, and then we end up looking silly if we are constantly being negative and fear-mongering around the opportunity to regain lost rights. So I am excited. It's amazing what you've seen from the anti-gunners and from some Democratic Party leaders in terms of how could this possibly be? Suppressors, silencers, they're going to be unregulated. And it's like, when I'm in Europe, when I'm in South Africa, in England, I went hunting once in England at a place where I couldn't hunt unless I had a suppressor. And the fact that we're finally going to get of course, I'm sure you saw the news a couple weeks ago. It came out that the ATF used health and safety as a reason. They were having their agents use suppressors. This is a huge win. It's a huge win in terms of practical value, in terms of the real hearing protection and safety, and the fact that ranges won't be as bothersome to the communities around them. Hunting is going to be quiet. I mean, it's a huge practical win, but it's also I think an important political win, and a reminder that if we work hard enough, we can regain lost rights.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the hypocrisy, you're just pointing out the hypocrisy of this. This is Rep. Thompson on his in a press conference when he's talking about, this bill, how could you suppressors and how evil this is what he had to say. And then we'll come back to what Rob said, but you just tickled my funny bone here on this. Here's what he had to say.
As a combat veteran, a lifelong hunter and gun owner, I can tell you this provision has nothing at all to do with hearing protection. but it has everything to do with making money for a certain segment of the gun industry. If you're concerned about protecting hearing from gunfire, buy and use earplugs. I urge members to support these two amendments.
So if you're worried about hearing protection, buy and used earplugs. But as you just pointed out, the ATF just bought a whole bunch of suppressors for their agents for the quote unquote health and safety. And of course, the military is rolling out the XM7 and everything else again for the safety of their troops and everything else. I can tell you, even without the tax and all the rigmarole, a suppressor is still more expensive than a pair of earplugs. So it's good enough for you, but it's not good enough for me. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I heard that clip yesterday also, and it's amazing. Just it's just so sophomoric to say, well, buy some earplugs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get that that's an option, but let's not pretend that this device, and I'll tell you, it's interesting. One of the things that he said, obviously this device is far better for everybody involved. And if you're inside, you still might want to wear earplugs because again, these aren't James Bond magic noise goes away machines in almost every case. But I think that the other thing that's interesting is for him to say this is aimed at making money for a certain segment of the gun industry.
Right.
It's really interesting to me that my guess is if we went back through all the sound bites we can find from that guy, he has denigrated the gun industry as a whole in the past. And now he's going to narrow down to just one. Let me assure him and anybody else listening, what's going to happen if this actually goes all the way through and we get suppressors off the NFA regulations? Every single sector of the gun industry is going to get involved. You're going to see some incredible designs of integrated suppressors from just about every manufacturer, certainly of rifles and probably of personal defense weapon size guns or AR pistol type guns. And you're going to see a race to the bottom for the cheapest hearing safe suppressors. We're talking about stamped parts. We're talking about Glock has a disposable suppressor you can buy for about $50. That's good for about 50 shots that I've used in South Africa, for example. And we're going to see a race to the bottom for hearing safe suppressors because, yes, there will be the other end. And I've got a couple pieces of technology here. If you want to talk suppressors, two of the newest, coolest things sitting right here we can talk about. There will be at the higher end, quieter, less back pressure, all the cool stuff with suppressors. That'll continue to evolve and develop. But what I'm really excited about is the $99 suppressors that will be hearing safe for 9mm, 5.56, obviously 22, all the popular calibers. You're going to see a golden age of suppressor use in the U.S. over the next few years if this passes, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, I'm totally excited about that. And yeah, I want to get into that because I think just the way that the markets work, the innovation, we'll talk about that here in just a second, but you're right. This is the tact that a lot of folks on the left have taken over the years, that it's the greed of the industry that's causing all this. And it's not. I mean, the industry has had its ups and downs just like anything else, but it's not like they're out there with a printing press making money. They are spending, trust me, they are, some of these places are working on pretty thin margins, right? They're not making a whole lot of money.
Well, they are us. I assure you here at Avidity Arms, it's been a couple slow years. Yeah, they are us for sure.
Yeah. So you're feeling it, but it's just this idea that somehow they can show that it's the greed that is that's causing all this stuff, and it's just casting blame on something that has nothing else. They're trying to trigger people into envy and everything else, but it's amazing. But here we are. So we want to talk here in the next segment about, okay, it's passed the House. Where do we go from here? What does this mean? But I do want to talk about some of the innovation and some of the other things as well when it comes to suppressors. Rob Pincus is our guest. Again, Avidity Arms, Walk the Talk America, the Personal Defense Tour, ICE combat training, so many hats.
All the things.
All the things. Rob is all the things. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking gun radio. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Dukes Show.
All right, we are in the commercial break with Rob Pincus. He joins us this morning. Yeah, dude, I love the new backdrop. I haven't seen this one before.
I think the last time I was on the show, I was actually at my house, my property here in North Carolina. This is the new office here at Avidity Arms. And so a little behind the scenes, I know we've got it's Facebook that listens in with us here, right?
Yeah, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble are watching right now.
I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to be fidgeting more than normal. I have a pinched nerve. And it feels kind of like someone's got an ice pick here or here.
Yeah.
And I'm occasionally there.
Yeah.
So I'm if I seem a little fidgety today or I'm doing a little of this off camera, that's why.
I saw you rubbing it. I figured
something like nauseating pain.
Yeah.
Nothing there for a couple of days. Tim Harmson from Military Arms Channel was here yesterday. He's got a new TV show coming out in the fall on Pursuit Network. And we were taping an episode here yesterday. And it was, I'm keeping a straight face for the takes and the training and the talk and the this and that. And then every time we'd cut, I was running back to the sling. So little of that today for you too.
Well, no problem. I'm sorry to hear that. Nothing worse than a pinched nerve because you can't get away from it. It's just like everywhere.
It's just there, man. It's just there. So
how are things going at Avidity? I mean, like you said, it's you've had some great stuff that you guys have been working on, and I know that you, again, this whole integrated suppressor thing, we'll get into that later, but that's some good stuff. But how are things going overall?
Good. It's definitely been a slow time in the industry. A lot of people have told me, over the last 6-8 months, as this dip, especially in pistol sales, has continued across the industry. If you're still, we're here 2 years, we're 2 years in. By no means have we hit a home run in terms of financial success or a windfall, and we certainly weren't timing any of the big booms in the industry. But we're over 2 years shipping guns. We're still here. We added the ASARs, the rifles to the line. I've got some. I can't touch. Can I touch things on Facebook Live?
I don't know, but we'll do it. See what happens.
I don't know either. Well, I'll just sneak this thing. That you can see that's 3D printed, and you can see that that's not a single stack. So we're working on something there. We just added Klinger holsters, just added a few different options from their line of great holsters for the PD-10. So we're continuing to chug along as far as that goes. We've got some new things that we may be coming out with towards the end of the year, but we are definitely biding our time. We're very low overhead. It's not quite a one-man operation, but most days, like today, for example, we've got a couple orders that I'm going to put in boxes myself and make sure that the either UPS or USPS guy picks them up later today. So we're running thin, but we're waiting for the new products or the next big spike in the market. But we're excited to be here. And as you know, I worked for a lot of years just to bring the PD-10 to market, and I'm glad it's out there. And that was a big accomplishment. And as the company continues to grow, I'm sure it'll be a financial successful venture from a business standpoint as well.
Well, I know that this has been a labor of love for you, and I'm so happy for you to be able to see that it's up and running. I know all about one. I don't know if you and I have talked much about, I told you that I bought some radio stations here in the stable.
Yeah.
So I know all about the one-man show. I told somebody jokingly the other day that I'm the president, the chief broadcaster, the receptionist, and the janitor. That's what I am right now. So it is, it's a sexy job title, but you got to do what you got to do to get it going on. Well, I'm glad. And of course, folks want to find out about it, they can go to avidityarms.com. You could see the link there on the website, on the right underneath Rob's name. Go check out the PD-10 and everything that they can do, everything that it has, and all the cool bells and whistles that they've incorporated. And of course, Rob is also, if you're not following him about the Makers Match and other new 3D printed technology, he's got a lot of great stuff out there as well. So we're really looking.
We just had the 5th annual Makers Match in Western Pennsylvania just a week and a half ago, and it went great. Amazing group of regulars now that have been there since the beginning, as well as newcomers. We still have new people showing up to the Gunmakers Match with their builds, doing some amazing, innovative stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I love watching this technology, expand, and that's what's exciting for us. All right, we're 10 seconds out, getting ready to rejoin here with Rob Pincus. The Michael Dukes Show continues. If you haven't liked and shared the show, Well, wherever you're watching us, Facebook, YouTube, or Rumble, like it, share it. Let's get more people involved. Here we go. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
You know, if we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
You know, Rob Pincus over at Avidity Arms, I'm pretty sure that all of those have got labels and tags on them that say protection guns. I don't think Rob has any of them that say murder guns on them. I think they all say
no. I have some collectibles over here. The 1911s are over here, but the protection guns are mostly back there, except for that black powder, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Rob Pincus from Avidity Arms, Walk the Talk, PDN. I mean, just keep going all the way down the list. Is with us today. We're talking about the HPA, the Hearing Protection Act, which was slid into the big, beautiful, bold bill that passed the House yesterday by one vote. Alaska, just think about that for a minute. If we had elected Mary Peltola instead of Nick Begich, this would not have passed. This would not have passed. So thank yourself if you voted for Nick Begich, because you're responsible for that. So it's out of the House, Rob. Now it's going to move over to the Senate. Now, it did not end up with any of the pieces of the Short Act, which would have been the same act that would have removed short-barreled rifles from the NFA list, just like it's removing suppressors from the NFA list. But it could still be amended in the Senate, right? So where are we at? Well, do you have a timeline here? Where are we at?
So the goal is by the 4th of July. By the 4th of July that we will have this bill through the Senate. And again, it can change, it can evolve, obviously, between now and then. But getting it to the president's desk, I know, seems to be what everybody's saying is the goal by the 4th of July, which means probably around mid-June, we're going to start seeing this talked about again in the media. And obviously, for the vast majority of people in the country, and I think the vast majority of legislators, there are bigger issues inside of this bill. For example, Representative Thomas Massey, who is a friend to many people in the gun industry and many people in the gun community, are a fan of his because of his politics and because of his kind of straight shooting nature. He voted against this bill. Now, he didn't vote against this bill because of suppressors, right? And normally, I'm a fan of small government. I'm a fan of focused bills. And let's talk about this and all the nuances of whatever this is, not try to lump everything all together. However, I'm really excited about taking the win on suppressors here, and I can live with some of the things I'm not as excited about in the big bill to get this win. And I think that this is a win. Once we get it, it won't slide back. And then some other things in the budget over this is years and decades worth of budget issues that still have a way to go to get resolved, regardless of what happens in June of 2025, the bigger picture issues in our government. So let's take the win on suppressors. But I'm not terribly mad at Thomas Massey. The bill passed. We know that people are talking amongst themselves. They're counting votes. And if Massey's voting his conscience on other issues of the bill, so be it. I'm taking the win on the suppressors. Now, the Short Act, I think here's why. If I had to pick, I'm taking suppressors all day long, because with braces and with all the rules and the changes back and forth we've had around the brace rule with pistols, right? You can see with this pistol, you can see with this beautiful VZ58 from Czech USA, Czech Small Arms Checkpoint. That thing has a brace on it. This thing has a brace on it. I've got a workaround for all practical purposes with braced pistols for what I would want out of an SBR. Right. And people know, as a business, I've got my SOT. I could have SBRs all over the place, but I choose to run braced pistols just because it's easier and it's more what everybody else and all my students on the range, of course, most of them are doing. When it comes to suppressors, there's not really an option, right? The federal law has us hemmed up. So changing the federal law. And I've also been part of a project for the last few months aimed at red states to evolve their gun laws, because a lot of red states have some weird gun laws on the books, many of which are redundant with federal law. So, for example, several states, Georgia, surprisingly to some people, has a law that prevents someone from legally owning a suppressor unless it's owned in compliance with the NFA. And it's a state law. So what we need to do is get rid of that state law so that when this federal law changes, people in Georgia aren't going to have to worry about, well, what does this mean on the state level now? Because technically,
you're saying it's supposed to comply with the NFA, but it doesn't. It's not supported by the NFA. So where am I? Am I legal? Am I illegal? It creates a lot of problems.
It creates questions. So we just want to get rid of those questions. So part of these, and it's a tough university project. It's got people from the gun control side. It's got people from, the gun rights side. In fact, Professor David Yamane is on that project with us as well. And we're really trying to get people some big wins, tax deductions or tax exemptions for quick access safes, for training. We're looking at a lot of states are interested in how do we evolve background checks. And of course, we've talked about this ad nauseum over the last decade, this idea that the gun control side wants the end of private sales. And what we want in the gun community, largely, there is a group of people who want access to be able to say, I'd love to do a background check or just know that somebody isn't a prohibited person if I want to sell a gun at the gun show. But at the same time, I don't want the government involved in any way with my private transfer of private property between someone, me and someone I trust, or a gift to a family member. So protecting those rights while also getting some of these wins and getting rid of these redundant state level rules that are just piggybacking on federal rules that we're fighting against. We want to clean that up too. So there's a lot going on in the background that I think doesn't always make the headlines on the social media in the gun rights fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a deep and hard fight, and it's got many levels, and a lot of us out here who are just, mouthpieces talking about the Second Amendment, we've got to recognize all the hard work that's going on behind the scenes, and we appreciate all that as well. So it's going over to the Senate. Any word on, what do you think the Senate's going to do? I mean, that's a tougher fight. And of course, somebody just said, and Murkowski, our senator, will help kill the bill along with Suzanne Collins from Maine. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but it's going to be a tougher fight.
I think that the best chance we have of this passing through the Senate is as part of this larger bill. And I can't imagine that we're not going to see the larger bill pass in one form or another. I feel like that's sort of inevitable right now with the flow of legislation, the flow of the economic concerns we have all across the country, and obviously Trump's head down insistence that this happens. I think it's going to happen. Will it happen with the Hearing Protection Act component still intact through the Senate? That's what going to take pressure. Remember, this took a lot of pressure. For the listeners who don't know, 10 days ago, this was not part of the big bill. And I believe this is one of those times when we can point to the pressure that individual voters put on the legislators and the lobbying that was going on. There was some video floating around of Eric Pratt from Gun Owners of America dealing directly. He was up on Capitol Hill last week. He wasn't the only one. A lot of the major organizations had representatives up there. They're lobbyists, obviously NRA, Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America. And there was a letter that got circulated, which I was proud to put my name on, for Second Amendment organization, a coalition, I think the largest coalition I've seen of gun rights organizations putting their names all together on one piece of one piece of lobbying, essentially one letter to the other legislators to make sure two legislators to make sure they knew how we felt about including the Hearing Protection Act, and it won. It worked, and I think we're going to end up having to do exactly the same thing with senators. And get ready, stand by to reach out in about 2 to 3 weeks.
It was funny that you mentioned Eric Pratt, because his dad and I, Larry, have been friends for many years. And Larry used to say, when we'd hit the halls of Washington, D.C., when we'd hit the halls of Congress, he said, you'd see people scatter. They didn't, because they knew they may be small, but they were mighty, because they would bring some pain. And it takes that kind of lobbying effort. And folks like the Pratts of GOA and FPC and Alan Gottlieb over at SAF, there's a bunch of great folks like you, who are out there pushing hard on this, and we've got a lot. We need to thank you and other folks for pushing hard on that, because this is the only way we're going to do it, inch by inch. We got to claw our way forward, inch by inch. And my hope is, if we keep that pressure up, that we will be able to see suppressor. And you mentioned it, in some places you can't shoot. I remember somebody told me, this was years ago. They said, yeah, in Denmark, it's hard to get a firearm, but once you get a firearm, you walk into a hardware store and you buy a suppressor over the counter as a safety device. It's like you go to the hardware store to buy a shovel, or here's a shovel, here's a suppressor, here's a hammer. There you go. We got all three in the same shopping cart. It's crazy. We should be able to do that same thing and protect ourselves and our hearing and everything else. It's an exciting day. It's an exciting day for that.
It is. Yeah, there are some idiosyncrasies about the obviously we are the most permissive, the most free when it comes to gun rights in the world, as far as I can tell. But there are some weird anomalies where, for instance, there's no such thing as a short-barreled rifle, in Italy or in the Czech Republic. And again, suppressors is probably the most obvious one where we have these incredible restrictions, really, if you look at the big picture compared to a lot of European countries.
Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing, and I'm happy we are where we are. You and I have talked about the gun, the fight for the gun culture, and where are we at? Are we hunkering down? Should we be continuing to take ground? Should we, bunker up and try and consolidate our wins? And I think right now we've got the momentum. We should keep moving forward, and I'm hoping that we will.
We missed an opportunity in 2017. Honestly, I heard you mention it in the intro. We're never quite sure what Trump's going to do on any given day on any topic, especially firearms related. But while we have the momentum in the legislature, and while we have the insistence from Trump that this bill passes in general as a whole, getting everything we can attached to it. Like I said, I'll take the win on this one because I don't think we're going to get it otherwise.
Yeah, generally, I'm not in favor of like the Christmas tree bill where you stick everything into it. But at this point, if it's going to pass, everything you could just plug it in at this point. Just, plug it in. We'll get it going on. You mentioned the new suppressor technology, and we've only got a couple minutes here before the break, but I want to at least get a quick tease. Here's my take on it. And this is what I'm excited about, because there was some verbiage or rumor milling on the internet that was like, oh, Silencer Central, they're actually supporting they don't want to get, we heard all this. And I thought, guys, come on, seriously. Yes, it may hurt some of these big suppressor companies that are dominant now, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry will want to get into the suppressor game. But think about, these folks are also perfectly poised to be the innovators. I mean, very little has changed in its suppressor technology in the last 75 years. Very little, because you just can't be outside the box and still make money, because you have such a tightly regulated deal. The innovations that could come in the next 10, 15 years for suppressor technology, new materials, new things, as these guys get more experimental, because now you don't have to worry about your $200 tax stamp and your government thing, and you got to send it back, and it's a whole hassle. The innovation that could come out of this is amazing.
Well, we've already seen pieces of it. I think the OSS, which is now HuxWorks, their reduction in back pressure maneuvers that they started, probably 10 years ago now, or close to it. We're seeing that kind of back pressure evolution already taking place at the higher end, at the cutting edge. 3D printing, the stuff that Dead Air is doing with like their Mojave 9, which I think is one of them in the background here somewhere, what they've done. And maybe when we come back from the break, I'll get into these two suppressors I have sitting here and why I think they really are two companies to watch. And they've got some really interesting stuff going on, including how we can increase accuracy, increase precision using a suppressor as a bit of a tuner at the end of the barrel. So it's we'll talk about that maybe after the break. We'll have more time.
Yeah, no, I'm all about that. Let's get into that. All right, Rob Pincus, our guest. AvidityArms.com is where you can find his company. You can also find him on the Personal Defense Tour, ICE Combat Training. He's one of the founders of Walk the Talk America with him and Michael Sodini, and lots of other stuff. So stick around if you want to get educated on firearms goodness. This is the place to be. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes,
allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we're in the break. Oh, see, we get a chance to look at Rob brag wall there behind him. Some good looking stuff up there, Rob.
This thing right here. This is what I'm. This is the thing I'm most excited about. Like today, it just came in yesterday. It's a VZ58, and people should go check out Checkpoint, like CZECH, Checkpoint USA or Czech Small Arms. And if you don't know the history of it, the Czechoslovakia at the time was the only Soviet satellite that didn't adopt the AK-47. They adopted the 7.62 by 39 round, but they did not adopt the AK-47. They developed their own rifle, the VZ58, and that's an SA VZ58, and that's a pistol version. Obviously, it's braced. Just came in yesterday. Probably going to go down and shoot it this afternoon. But I've had that gun in a lot of classes when I've taught in the Czech Republic and taught in Slovakia. I've seen it, I think, in Italy, other places in Europe. It's a really, really cool gun. It's got some great evolutions from the basic AK design. It uses AK magazines, uses 7.62 by 39. They do have their own proprietary magazines, but you can usually get the AK mags to work with it too. And it's a really cool gun. It locks open. It's got a better safety. The safety is different. You run it with your trigger finger also, but it's a very different safety from the AK. It's a cool platform, and I think they're great looking guns, and I'm excited to see them coming to market now with a refresh from Checkpoint USA.
Well, and I'll be honest, I'm an AK fanboy from way back, and
have you shot one of these?
I have not. I've got to.
I've got to check them out.
Yeah, because the 7.62 by 39, I just think is a superior round overall as well. So that's a good. That's good. I'm gonna have to check that out and see if I can get one of those.
So out here at the property that I'm building my own house, right? It's very Alaska, I think. I'm like homesteading, right? So. And I've got more bear than I do deer or raccoons out on the property. So I decided, even though I really have not been a fanboy for 300 Blackout, I did want a heavier round for close use around the property and the garden and the chicken coop and all that stuff. So I've got a 300 Blackout, the only one I've got built up, and the only one I've ever had for any significant period of time on one of our ASAR lowers. It's an ASAP because it's a pistol, not a rifle, but it's a 300 Blackout. And of course, it's got Mojave 9 suppressor on it, great suppressor. But I don't like the idea of interchanging 300 Blackout and 5.56. And most of my guns, everything you see in this picture, all these things are 5.56. That Nemo's 300 Win Mag, but all the normal size ARs are 5.56. And I'm thinking, after I do some initial testing with this 58, assuming it's as reliable as I expect and it's as much fun to shoot as I suspect, I may retire the 300 Blackout and make that my close to the home bear defense gun, because like you said, that heavier bullet 7.62 by 39 offers some significant performance advantages over the 5.56 in close quarters situations.
One of my favorite to-do projects, one of my retirement, what I consider to be my retirement projects, is I would love to make up a Vinarez 9 by 39. I don't know if you've ever seen that the special operations rifle, the Russian that's used, where it's 9 by 39 subsonic suppressed, integrally suppressed AK platform. I just think that would be sexy.
Are parts even available for that build?
No, Brandon Herrera has one. And if you ever want to go out and check it out, it is an amazing video that he goes through. You would basically have to build one, you'd have to build it yourself, with probably a 357 barrel and some other things.
There are 9mm AKs.
Yeah. Well, maybe. And this has been a while since I've got some pieces and parts that I've collected over the years, and I thought one day I'll turn all this into a, because it uses the same mags. You just can't put, because it uses the same cases, it uses everything else. But it is.
Yeah, I wonder if you took the whole barrel assembly from a 9mm AK and put it onto a 7.62 by 39 AK receiver. If it would magically match up. I wonder how much gunsmithing would be involved there.
It would be interesting because, again, using the same case, you can use the same barrel, you can use the same and everything else.
But the chamber would be different. No, so you'd need to rechamber the 9mm barrel to use that longer case.
And of course, you're using rifle cases, so you got to make sure pressures are right and everything else. But it would be a fascinating. That would be a fascinating project. It's something that I would love to do. And if the hush thing or the HPA thing goes all well and good, then you could build an integrally suppressed. Boy,
yeah, I think every manufacturer out there is going to do it, and to the point we were talking about in the big show there a minute ago in the last segment. I don't think Silencer Co. and Dead Air or Huxworks are worried. They're gonna keep innovating and keep taking care of that high end.
Yep.
But the low end is where everybody else is going to jump in, and suppressors for the masses. I think you'll see a sub $100 suppressor pretty quick, reliable and hearing safe for 9mm.
I'm excited about that. Imagine a 575 grain 9mm slug, subsonic. Oh man, there was so much goodness out there. All right, let's get back to it. Rob Pincus, our guest, the Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Let's go.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Duke Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Boy, those assault penguins, they're vicious, especially the emperor ones. They're like 4 feet tall. They'll mess you up.
Was that an NFA? Was the tariff that Trump wanted to put on the Penguin Island, was that actually an NFA tax?
It was an NFA tax. And because those emperor, those and the trunk monkeys, assault penguins and trunk monkeys, two things you do not want to have around your house. Rob Pincus is our guest. Avidity Arms. .com is where you can find him and the Personal Defense Network, Personal Defense Tour. Rob, we were just talking about innovation, and we were teasing it at the end of the last hour. The high end, we're going to see all kinds of, I'm sure, space age innovations go on in the next 10 years if the HPA is able to get through and get past. But you're really excited about some of the new things happening on the mid to lower end as well, because it's going to open it up for every man to be able to be able to shoot without hearing protection and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's some cool things coming out.
Absolutely. I think you're going to see sub $100 suppressors. If this passes, they'll be on the market within a year. And I'm not talking about a clearance sale. I'm not talking about, just clearing out inventory. I'm talking about stamped parts, hearing safe. Again, I think that's the difference is some people are chasing the ultimate edge of performance in terms of lowering, the number of decibels. Again, I think enhancing accuracy and enhancing the capability for precision out of some long distance rifles. I've got a sample here we can talk about. Reducing back pressure so it's more comfortable to shoot suppressed. You're not getting everything coming back in your face when you're down on your AR. Those areas will continue to evolve. The 3D printed technology, all that stuff's going to continue to evolve. But at the other end, again, we're going to see, pick one, High Point, Keltec, going up through CMMG, Bravo Company, up to Daniel Defense, Ruger. You're going to see every company that makes a gun starting to do some really cool stuff, I'm sure, with integrally suppressed guns. And you're going to see a relatively inexpensive suppressors available for just about everything. And just like firearms ship now with optic cuts, and that wasn't something that was a thing 10 years ago,
right?
You're going to see threaded barrels shipping as a standard option, not a standard option, but a standard issue right from the factory on so many more firearms if this goes through.
Right. No, standard. It won't be you have to buy an extra barrel. You have to have your barrel threaded. They will just be threaded, and you just spin off whatever flash suppressor they've got on there and a flash hider, and you can be able to spin your suppressor right on. You said you got some new examples here, some of the stuff that we're talking about. What are the highlights here?
So I think and again, OSS, Huxwork, they get all the credit for sort of starting this trend and this interest, and maybe even making the conversation happen a while back when more and more people started using suppressors. Back pressure is a big deal, right? So a lot of guns traditionally have tunable gas blocks if they're intended to be suppressed, so you can turn down the amount of gas coming back so the gun isn't quote unquote over gassed, but also it makes it more comfortable to shoot. Well, this is a new suppressor I just got in about, a month ago from Engaged Industries. Now, Mike, that's doing the design work at Engaged Industries, he's been in this industry in the community for a long time. But Engaged Industries is a new brand, And this is the Operator 5.56. But I don't know if you can tell how short the barrel is. This is an 8.5-inch barrel on this Nemo gun. And that's what I run this on. And people can check out my YouTube and maybe in my history of my social media just a few weeks back. When I first got this in, I took a white towel and I put it behind the ejection port and over where the charging handle is on that shorty AR, and fired, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 rounds, and then took that white towel. Now, if you'd used the technology that was common a decade ago with a suppressor on an AR, that thing would have been sooty and black, as would my face have been. And there wasn't a mark on that towel. So what he's doing here with reduced back pressure is awesome. That means not only is it more comfortable to shoot, but also it means that you don't have to worry about messing with your gas settings or changing anything about your gas block or your gas tube when you're running an AR. You just thread that thing on and go to town.
Yeah, because that was always part of the problem when you were shooting 5.56 on an AR platform, is that it gummed up the works a lot faster because it got super dirty.
Yeah, there's that too, right? So you have to clean more often. So that back pressure thing, Engage Industries and other companies are doing some amazing stuff there. This is one I haven't even shot yet, but I'm excited about it. I want to show you what's going on here. This is Whisper Tech. This is actually being brought to the market by Bursa. So Bursa USA is bringing the Whisper Tech in, and this is the B-762P. I've got a special little tool here, and this is amazing. When I first saw this, I thought it was a joke. I saw it at SHOT Show this year. So when we take this all apart, and I'm going to let you look in the tube here. Now, this is not just sound suppression. This is intended to be put on something like that Nemo 300 Win Mag up there and make it even more accurate, get more consistency out of this thing. You can see hollow tube, right?
Wow.
And then this little doohickey, and then just the direct thread attachment on the back end. Now, notice at the back end, what happens here is the round comes into this hollow tube and gets caught by this device, which has some baffles in it. This is the actual suppressor at the far end. So here's the rifle, here's the muzzle. Bullet goes into here, gases come out behind it, start to expand. Everything gets really turbulent, right? And that turbulence affects the stability of the bullet. Well, what happens here is this opening is just barely bigger than the bullet. As the round goes through here, that initially expanding gas gets stripped from the bullet, and almost all of that turbulence goes away. And then the baffles inside are stripping what's left and continuing to deaden the sound. As the bullet comes out, it's going to get the cleanest exit that it can, far cleaner than any other muzzle brake I'm aware of. And the science is there, the engineering is there to say this is going to decrease group size, increase consistency. And I can't wait to get that Nemo out at 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 yards and see what this can does, not just for the comfort of shooting it. Obviously, there's a can on there already. You don't want to shoot that gun without a suppressor. But if I can have a suppressor that not only makes it more comfortable to shoot, but also increases the consistency, that's exciting.
No, I mean, that's super exciting. And yeah, that's a design that I've never seen before. That is super interesting. I can't wait for a range report from you on that. Whisper Tech, the B-762P. Yeah, that's a design. And this is what I love. That is, again, this kind of innovation is just the tip of the spear of what we would see as the HPA goes through, and smaller companies. I mean, maybe somebody mom and pop in their garage is going to figure out how to make this, make this work. And I think that's a fascinating concept. So
yeah.
And again, we need to demystify it. We need to destigmatize it. As much as we love to watch entertainment and see that these suppressors in the movies are whisper, we know that that's not really the truth. Very rarely have I ever shot a gun that was that kind of whisper quiet,
Well, yeah, you're talking about a purpose-built, like 22 short, like a Ruger Mark 77, integrally suppressed shooting shorts where or sub long rifles where you hear the click of that hammer and then the ding on the little spinner target or something 20 yards away is pretty cool, but it's incredibly rare.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's cool to see. Rob, let's see, we're down to the last 4.5 minutes here or so. So we're waiting on the Senate. We'll see what happens there. We got to keep the pressure up. That's the thing. Keep talking to our legislators and tell them that they need to support the big, beautiful bill, including the HPA component of it as well. and we're looking for that. What else is going on in your world? Give us the final thoughts here, and what are you working on, and what else is happening at Avidity, and walk the talk.
Well, like I said, we're just we're holding the fort at Avidity. Looking forward to bringing out maybe some new products towards the end of the year, and looking forward to the next bump in the industry to ride that wave and take advantage of an increase in sales. But we know that bringing a new, especially a higher capacity model than the PD10, is probably the key to our future success. So we're working on that. We've got some side charger stuff we're working on. I'm going to get on a milling machine later and cut something out there. It's going to be a fun project we're working on there that people will see. Some of that's been teased already in our social media. The Gun Makers Match just happened. People can go out and see some of the video. There's a great little mini documentary on Gun Makers Match 5. And of course, I'm still relatively early into the Personal Events Network training tour. I'll be teaching in Michigan. I've got private classes on the 31st and the 1st, and I'll be at the Michigan Tactical Officers Association teaching some law enforcement from around the Great Lakes region next week. So I'm back on the road and teaching. And then in between teaching classes, I'm back here trying to innovate, and constantly from the phone or the internet, wherever I am, we're doing the gun rights thing. So it's busy times.
The big question for everybody, of course, is, do you have a cot in your office? Because when do you sleep? That's
man, I'll tell you what, I have slept. I haven't slept. This office I've only been in for a few months, but my old office on the other side of the building, the first couple years, there's been many nights here. I saw there was a question from Frank. He's asking what's in that gap. Frank, that gap is just there to let the gases expand. That's what's really cool about it. Most of that suppressor is empty. It's empty space to let the gases expand, and then that turbulence gets stripped from the bullet. So it's like I said, it's really cool, innovative design, and HPA isn't going to make that stop. It's going to make more of that happen, as well as the lower priced, simple, old school suppressors. We're going to see advancements in both directions. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see exactly what that brings it out, comes out of that. That'll be fantastic to see. All right. Well, Rob, I guess we're down to it. Final thoughts. What would you encourage people to do as we get closer to the Senate working on this? Again, we've got just this next few weeks to get it done. What's your encouragement?
Stand by. I would say stand by for direction. Watch Second Amendment Organization, 2AO.org on all the social media. Watch, all the regulars. Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America, the NRA. John Comerford at the ILA under this new reforming NRA is doing a lot of good work. And when there's one or two senators that really need to be targeted, I'm sure that announcement's going to go out, and we're going to get to be able to put pressure on people that need to be pressured, and stand by to do that in about 3 weeks, I would imagine, is when that's going to really kick up.
Absolutely. And I think in the meanwhile, go out and watch Rob's new documentary on the Makers Match. If you have any interest in new technology, 3D printing and everything else, just go watch what kind of wildness they're bringing up over there. All right, Rob Pincus. Yeah, thank you so much, my friend. As always, it's great to talk with you. Thanks for taking the time out today. I appreciate it. Get on with your long weekend here. You should take a little downtime. I'm just saying, just a little downtime.
Sunday afternoon. I've got 4 hours blocked out.
This guy's got it in his book. Okay, I can sit down and have lunch. Thanks so much, Rob. Appreciate you coming on board. Rob Pincus, our guest today. Yeah, I mean, he literally has got a thing that says, I can take 4 hours for that right there. It's awesome. All right, folks. Hour 2 dead ahead. The Michael Duke Show. Okay. Let's continue ahead here. What do we got here? Tawny said, what prevents potential misalignment? Oh, because Brian said just a tiny bit of misalignment would be a bad day. What prevents the potential misalignment? Precision engineering. That's what prevents it. I mean, let's just say this. Every suppressor, a baffle strike in a suppressor, that's what they call it when something's misaligned and the bullet strikes the inside of the suppressor. It's called a baffle strike. Any baffle strike in a suppressor is usually catastrophic for the suppressor. It usually just blows it up. I mean, blows all the guts out of the front of it, generally speaking. So that is why they are precision machined. That is what prevents any kind of misalignment in there. But it is going to be that technology, that suppressor. I'm really interested in that, to see what that looks like. It should be exciting. It should be exciting to see what What kind of new stuff they're going to be bringing that we're going to see in that? I can't wait to check it out. Can't wait to check it out. When is the spring auction? The 30th, Rob. The 30th. Anthony said that 762P suppressor appears to use some weirdly adjacent jet turbine concepts. Neat. I love it. I think that's going to be so freaking cool. I know Brian said something about, can you get it to smell like, what did he say? Can you get it to smell like chocolate chip cookies? When he was talking about reducing the pressure, he's like, can you get the blowback to smell like chocolate chip cookies? And I'm like, why would you want to? Why? I mean, yeah, can they make the blowback smell like chocolate chip cookies? And Bill just, he agrees with me. What do you mean? I'd love the smell of cordite in the morning. There's nothing better than the smell of gunpowder and Hoppy's number 9. I wanted to make a cologne that was gunpowder and Hoppy's number 9. That would have been perfect. Oh, man. All right, I'm just going back here. Willie's got a hot take. He said, YouTube is better than Facebook. You can scroll through your phone while you watch the show. Everybody's got to multitask these days. Everybody's got to multitask. Yeah, Rob said everybody's going to get involved in this. Everybody's going to get involved in this new suppressor stuff. And Frank says, rumor has it Mike Lindell is starting a new line. My suppressor. It's the My Pillow, My Suppressor line. My bullet pillow. Oh, man, I love it. Jeannie said that the gunpowder and Hoppy's number 9 would be the best cologne ever. I get that for sure. Absolutely get that. Kim goes on to say pre-threaded applications will be perfect with the new laws. I mean, that's the thing. Rob's not wrong. I mean, if this thing finally goes through in the form that we think it's going to, you will see every gun that's going to come out will probably have, well, not every gun, but it will be a standard option to have a threaded barrel. And I mean, that could be pistols with it. Remember when Walther, I don't know how many of you have been in the game a long time, but Walther used to make, a lot of their little semi-automatic pistols actually had a threaded cap on the end of the barrel. Even on the automatics, there was like a little stubby cap that if you got it with the extended threaded barrel, it would just come out and go. I mean, that'll be standard for a lot of pistols. I'm interested because then you could put compensators on it. You could put suppressors or compensators or whatever else you wanted on there as well. Brian says WhisperTech hasn't wasted money on their website. Really, they're just not 762P. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, that's because it's not made by WhisperTech. I mean, WhisperTech is not the brand name. It is the model name. It's made by Bursa, Brian. There you go. That's the suppressor that he was talking about. And it's made by Bursa. Super. I mean, I'm interested. I am very, very interested in this hybrid type suppressor. And I'm so excited. The possibilities of what could come out of that here in the future. But yeah, you can go check that out. It's over at bursausa.com. Yeah, and it's only it's $650, whatever, $679. You guys are out there acting like a Hoppy's cologne needs to be made. Just go shooting more until the desired scent is achieved. The problem is to get the robust, desired odor factor, I would need to shoot several thousand rounds of a month. And ain't nobody, that'd be the most expensive cologne ever, Anthony. The most expensive cologne ever. Oh, here we go. And I see that I can't follow the link because it's in the chat room, but Frank just dropped a Humphreys handmade soap, men's natural body spray, Hoppies number 9. They actually make a Hoppies number 9. Oh my God. That is so fantastic. Yeah, that is just amazing. I'm going to have to, somebody needs to email me that link. Frank, send me that email link. Yeah, I need that. All right, we got to go. And Hoppies makes...
Oh, buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Take my rifle, this is my gun. This is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Oh, baby. Welcome back. The Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world on the interwebs at michaeldukesshow.com. Thanks for coming in and joining us today. It's just another beautiful day in paradise, and we are ready to rock and roll. We're jumping into this here with hour 2 of the big radio show. Today, it's gun talk. It's gun stuff all the time, and we are ready to go. Now, the big thing about Firearms Friday, and you just missed a great guest. We were just talking with Rob Pincus from Avidity Arms in the last hour about the Hearing Protection Act and a bunch of other stuff as well. If you missed it, you can go back and listen to it on the podcast, which is available wherever you find podcasts, wherever you find them. You can go out there and take a look at it. But in this hour, we're going to open up the phone lines. And phone lines, in fact, I guess I'll just say it right now. Phone lines are open. So if you want to give us a call, 319-527-3864. We'd love to hear you guys and see what you have to say about pretty much, well, anything right now. Feel free to jump on board and be part of it. Today, Firearms Friday is basically about demystifying the firearm. It's about helping people understand it. I'm looking for people who are, what do we say? Gun curious. That's what we're looking for. Gun curious. Feel free to come on board and join us and ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb gun question on Firearms Friday. That's what we're all about. Coming up at the end of this hour, Willie Waffle is going to be joining us for our big weekend, Memorial Day weekend movie review and entertainment review. And so we'd love to hear what he's going to have to say, and we hope you stick around for that with us as well. So again, 319-527-3864 is the phone number, and we'd love to have you on board here anytime this morning as we go through. We've got some other headlines. I want to talk. Well, I got this article that I wanted to talk about. It's from Professor David Yamane, who is a professor of sociology over at Wake Forest University. But I've been trying to get him on the program, and so I might wait. I might hold up on this article until I can get him on the show, because it is such a good piece. He wrote it earlier this month, and the title of the piece is "Guns in America: A Liberal Gun-Owning Sociologist Offers 5 Observations to Understand Americans' Culture of Firearms." And it is a fantastic little piece that really, I think, in a simple way, outlines why, the differences and the different viewpoints on guns. And it's a great piece. And I want to, I really like to discuss it with him. And so we're going to have to, I'll wait and hold up on this. If you want to go find it, it's over at theconversation.com, from Professor David Yamane. We'll see if we can get him on the program to discuss it, because I think that he's got such a unique perspective on this, and I'm looking forward to talking with him about that as well. But let's take a look at some of the latest trends in gun buying and what's happening right now. I think that there is I think that the sea change is continuing. Let's put it that way. The sea change is continuing here in the country when it comes to gun rights. A recent Rasmussen survey reveals that, what gun dealers and manufacturers and people who've been paying attention in the gun culture already know. And it's the same thing that gun dealers, or that anti-gunners don't like hearing. Despite a downturn in gun sales, overall, Rob was just talking about how, because it's always good when there's a threat to the Second Amendment. That's the best time to be a gun dealer or a gun manufacturer, because boy, you'll be printing money at that point, because everybody wants to make sure they get theirs before something comes down, right? Some anti-gun legislation comes down. Despite a downturn in gun sales, Americans are still buying guns. And for the past 5 years, those purchases have surpassed 1 million per month. I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. 1 million per month for the last 5 years. That means in just new gun sales, 60 million firearms have entered the market, at least, because it's a minimum of 1 million per month for the last 5 years. Just think about that for a second. And that's people of all colors, ethnicities, walks of life, lifestyles, whatever it is. It's all different kinds of people, Americans. And this is happening in spite of the fact that there have been efforts in several states to make gun buying even more difficult than it was before. According to the Rasmussen survey, 19% of Americans adults say that they or someone in their household bought a gun in the past year. It's 20% of Americans, 1 in 5. 64% of all American adults say the main reason most people purchase guns is for self-defense. And Rasmussen revealed that says a lot about the public confidence in the ability of law enforcement to respond quickly to violent crime. And I think what people forget about this is, because that's a common refrain. Oh, I can't believe you just don't have faith that law enforcement will. Look, folks, police it's not their job to respond in the moment to violent crime. I know that that's, what's been portrayed in the movies and on television, and that you should just rely on, somebody with a badge to show up. But statistically, that just doesn't happen, right? Unless the cop is around the corner doing something else, the likelihood of a police officer showing up in the middle of the commission of a crime is, statistically irrelevant. They are there to pick up the pieces afterwards. That's the thrust of their job. They are the cleanup crew. They're there to figure out who, what, where, why, and try and find the perpetrators and put them in bracelets. That's what they're supposed to do. I think this idea that, there's just, because of gun, there's a public confidence, there's a lack of public confidence in the ability of law enforcement to respond quickly to again, statistically, it's impossible. If you've got one police officer for every 1,000 citizens, which, by the way, that would be an incredibly high number of police officers. Incredibly high. If you had one officer for every 1,000 citizens, there would still, just think about that. You sprinkle 1,000 people around any given area. How is that police officer supposed to get to that person in a timely manner when most interactions or violent crimes happen in a matter of minutes? It's not some long drawn out, we'll wait around for 40 or 50 minutes for the police to show up, or 20 minutes for the police to show up. Usually those interactions are just, but somehow we've become inured, and there's this feeling amongst a lot of Americans that somehow only the police can handle this kind of stuff. Only that we can't do this ourselves. We can't, we're not qualified. It's not our job, man. Right? That's some of the things that are going. But I think what you're seeing is not necessarily a lack of public confidence in the ability of law enforcement. I think what you're seeing is a recognition that police can't be everywhere. Now, sure, some of it is a post-COVID, hey, you're on your own kind of thing, because that happened a lot during the COVID and the George Floyd riots and everything else, where they're like, sorry, you're on your own. But I think a lot of it is just the recognition that police can't be everywhere all the time. And and then you hear the stories. Headlines such as the reported raid on an underground nightclub in Colorado Springs, during which more than 100 people were arrested, allegedly many of them illegal aliens, and police recovered drugs and guns. That might alarm enough people in the neighborhood to buy a firearm. There are some political leanings on this as well. Rasmussen's findings is that Republicans are 71% far more likely than Democrats at 60% to believe self-defense is the primary reason for owning a gun. You know what I get out of that number? 60% of Democrats believe that self-defense is the primary reason for owning a gun. Good for them. Among independents, 61% thinks personal protection is the main reason. But here's the thing that whole thing misses. I don't need a reason to own a gun. Constitutionally, I don't need to have a reason. It could be hunting. It could be self-defense. It could be sport shooting and personal pleasure. It could be plinking. It could be whatever. It doesn't matter. It's none ya. As in, it's none ya business why I want to have the gun. But again, the big takeaway from that is 60% of Democrats think that believe that self-defense is the primary reason for owning a gun, because even they were coming. I think a lot of times it was the Democratic, the leaning side that saw more than anything the problems with the whole COVID and the George Floyd thing, because they realized the police aren't coming, because the police stopped going into neighborhoods because they didn't want to be accused of whatever. And they're like, hey, you guys are on your own. And so the average law-abiding citizen was like, oh, crap, what do I do now? Well, you get strapped is what happens. So interesting stuff. There's another interesting tidbit. And Rasmussen says it's an alarming, albeit maybe not surprising revelation. A majority of government employees, 54%, believe it's too easy to buy guns nowadays, compared to 45% of the private workers and 40% of retirees. It's surprising that the oppressing class is upset with how easy, quote unquote, it is to buy a gun. The oppressors are upset that the oppressed might be able to get a means to fight back. Surprise! Oh man. And again, this led the Trace to estimate a new number of guns in America. The Trace is now put the estimated number of guns in America at 512 million. Those are rookie numbers. Those are rookie numbers, man. 512 million. Remember, I started talking about this 5 or 6 years ago where we kind of did the back of the napkin math, everything coming back from World War II, from Vietnam, the bringbacks, Korea and Vietnam. Those are probably the last years that you would get any kind of bringbacks from the overseas, plus the stuff that's been passed down, plus the number, plus the 60 million new guns in the last 5 years alone. 512. My guess is that it's closer to somewhere near 750 million guns in this country. That would be my back of the napkin math that I've done over the last 25 years watching these numbers. Because they used to say, oh, it's only 200 million guns in America. And I was like, bourgeois, are you kidding me? Only 200 million guns. Again, 60 million in the last 5 years means 120 million or 100 million in the last 10 years. Just do the math on that for the last 40 years. Okay? The rookie numbers, 512 million, rookie numbers, faux show. All right. We got to go. We got more coming up. I see Fred is on the phone from Rhode Island. We'll get Fred's take on stuff here as we get ready to come back. I might have some time for some other stories, including this California gun laws. They are no match for sixth graders. This is an interesting story. We'll talk about this in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense, Liberty Base, Free Thinking Radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. It's a great pick, Frozen of Mike. I know that it hiccuped here a minute ago, but hopefully you've picked back up. Kermit says lead and brass are more important than gold. Yeah, those are the real precious metals right now, right? Lead and brass. That's the real precious metals. Alaska has approximately 98 wildlife troopers for the entire state. So if that was 1 for 1,000, that would only cover 98,000 people out of 700,000. 1K to 1 is the actual ratio. The current ratio in the city of New York, if I remember correctly from late last year, is something like 15 or 1,600 to 1. 1,000 to 1 is a high ratio. But, again, just even if it was 500 to 1 or 700 to 1, make it a higher ratio. Even if it was that, I mean, how in the world is one officer supposed to cover 500 people at any given moment, right? That's the thing. We keep acting like they've got some kind of mystical teleporter when they could go, help police, and they just show up. It's not going to happen. Anthony kind of summates my feelings on it. He said, we should all be police officers, quote unquote, when it comes to defending yourself and potentially any others from imminent danger. In my eyes, you have a duty to keep and bear arms and to watch out for yourself and others. Agreed. Brian, I can't follow that link. Shoot that link to me in Messenger, will you please, Brian, so I can see that, because I can't follow the link on the deal here. Miguel said you'd be surprised that many pro 2A people would know serious You'd be surprised that many Pro 2A people would seriously ask me not to open carry at events because it doesn't look right when it's my right in the state of Alaska to do so. Miguel, I would never tell you not to carry. I would never. Look, I'm not going to say don't. I'm going to tell you that open carrying is tactically unsound. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that it also freaks out the straight people. So you do you. I will tell you that I will not open carry for the most part. I very rarely very rarely will you see that happen. I will not open carry because, again, I'm trying to reach the gun curious. I'm not trying to freak out the straight people. Secondly, from a tactical standpoint, I don't believe that open carry is a good idea. Because if somebody wants to start something, either A, you are their number one target, or B, they may want to wrestle you down for your firearm if they've lost their mind, which it does happen. That does happen. So that again, I'm not a huge fan of open carry for that reason. If you're open carrying to make a statement at a rally, okay, I guess I can see that. But for the most part, open carry is, to me, just again, tactically unsound, I guess is what I would say. Tactically unsound. Thank you, Brian, for dropping the link. Brian dropped me the link here on the in the chat room from this link right here. For those of you who can see it, you can scroll back and watch this. He says it's a little bit of a clickbait headline, but it's insightful in gun economics. Jeannie's back on Facebook. She was on YouTube. Now she's on Facebook. Welcome back, Jeannie. Welcome back. And Anthony says, yeah, open carry is good for making a statement, but in everyday application, making yourself a priority target isn't my idea of good planning. Yeah. If I'm out in the woods, yeah, Jeannie, if I'm out in the woods, I'm open carrying. Concealed carrying is tactically superior otherwise. So anyway, I don't know what my dog ate, but oh my God. Oh, all right. We're going to go. Jeez.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a dick, but somewhat funny.
Just somewhat funny. Not really funny, but somewhat funny. That's okay. I can live with that. All right, let's continue on ahead here. Wow. We're going to jump over to the telephones. Our friend Fred is listening to us in Rhode Island. He tunes in every week from the great state or the small state or whatever. I don't even know what the state motto of Rhode Island is, but whatever it is, he's over there listening and he's got some thoughts and ideas. Let's jump over to him and see what he has to say. Good morning, Fred. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, good morning, Michael. Yeah, I think the state motto should be "Move On."
MoveOn.org. What's in your mind today?
I think to quote another radio show host comment was the reason why I carry a gun is because the cop is too heavy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I carry a gun because the cop is too heavy. That's exactly it. I've heard that before somewhere around here.
Okay. Well, anyway, the reason I call is you mentioned the thing about the concealed carry. I think it's a good idea because the police can't be everywhere. I mean, that's obvious. Their position in society is they clean up the mess. Find out what happened and take it from there. As far as prevention goes, it's a stroke of luck if they just happen to be in the right place at the right time for the right reason. But I wouldn't put any money on it happening, all the time.
Yeah.
But, the other thing is we have so many problems with firearms, I think, in the country because we have a lack of concentration on dealing with those who break the law, the repetitive criminal, the repetitive nut job that all they want to do is just, burn the world down, light the world on fire just to see it burn, or for some other nefarious reason.
Right.
But we know who these people are. I mean, they're not exactly, now they have rights, but you got to remember one thing about rights. Rights go hand in hand with responsibility. If you're not responsible, you know what, your rights should be curtailed.
But are we?
Until such point in time you can prove that you can be responsible.
But let me take a point here, Fred. Do we really have a problem with firearms in this country? I mean, that's really the question. Is there really a question? I will steal from David Yamani's piece because he makes the point out there to talk about, gun owners and lethal tools and how many. But you got to realize that basically 99.9% of firearms are never directly involved in fatalities, and 95% of gun owners were never directly involved in fatalities. You're talking about 0.04 or 0.01% of the entire country. Is it really a problem statistically?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is a problem. But according to the media, and here we go again. The media, they love to they love to shred up the pot. They like to keep the plate spinning for their ratings, for their for their advertisement slots, and to keep the price up. And their own ratings. Their ratings are everything. Without ratings, they have no industry. But this is what they do. Once again, light the world on fire just to see it burn. This is the media's mantra. They are a big part of what is going on in this country as far as problems go. I mean, all you have to do is look at the Watts riots back in the day with the Rodney King situation. Every night for about 2 weeks, they played poor Rodney King being beat on by the police, right? And this went on night after night. Finally got to the point where it just turned, it just exploded one afternoon, and it just took the whole city down, in riots and fires and problems, tore the place up. But it wasn't for the media. And then, of course, when it happened, that was the heyday when it happened. So they created the problem, they profited from the problem, and then they deny all responsibility later on. I don't know how they get away with it. Speaking of responsibility, rights and responsibility, they're the most irresponsible of the lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I agree. I mean, that's the thing. The news media is complicit in a lot of the problems that we have. They take a random incident that is tragic in and of itself. Don't get me wrong. Everyone and any act of violence in that regard is a tragedy, but they blow it up and make it and act like it's a continuous thing, that it happens every day, that's going on every minute of every day in every city. That's what they act like. And it's just, it's insane. It's insane. Final thoughts here, Fred.
Well, that's the whole thing with the military-style assault weapons ban that's going on around this part of the world. They're trying to, and it's all based on media garbage. It's all they've taken an innocuous rifle, which is no different than any other rifle out there, regardless whether it's semi-automatic or otherwise, and they turned it into the most evil of the evil. Only because based on features, pistol grip, collapsible stock, flash hider, and all that. Based on that, it's more lethal than anything else out there.
Yeah,
which is the biggest load of garbage that's come down the pipe in some time.
I hear you, Fred. I hear you. Hey, I appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you for coming in. I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for being part of the show today. Let's go over here and see what I think Tom, is that who it is? Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
This is Tom. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Morning, my friend. What's on your mind?
Real simple. I think it's time we start playing word games.
Start playing word games.
They've been playing it for a long time.
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to stop calling them silencers and call them quieters.
Quieter. Mufflers. Well, originally, the original one was made by Hiram Maxim. It was called the Maxim Muffler. We should just call them mufflers, right? Just
There
like
you
you
go.
got for cars.
Yeah, stop with this silencer thing because it's not. Anybody that's shot one with a silencer knows it's not silent. Far from.
Yeah, it's really really surprises people.
I'm just curious how many crimes have been solved, or how many people thought they were going to go do something bad because they had a quieter.
Right. No, I've told people,
It's not going to make me go do something bad.
You don't realize that even generally the average suppressor, the sound of the average suppressor going off is not the you see in the movies. It's like taking a large book and slapping it on a table. That's how loud it is. It's not like you're going to not notice it in a quiet room.
I've got a neighbor that's probably 1,500 yards away from me, and he has a silencer, and he has it for his 7mm. I think he shoots it on, and I hear it like it was on or off.
Right. You just don't get the supersonic crack, or you may get the supersonic crack. You don't get the big boom as much, but yeah, you can hear it. It's pretty crazy.
It's nice, and when they're legal, sign me up. I'll be buying a bunch of them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But they're not silencers; they're quieters.
Quieters, right? Mufflers. I like that. The quieter mufflers. That's what we need to do. You should make a company, Tom. The Quieter Company. The Quieter Company. We'll see that going on. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being part of it today. Thank you for calling in. We are out of time for this minute. We got Willie Waffle coming up, the Michael Dukes Show, Common Sense Radio. Okay, we're in the break right now. The quieters. These are quieters. These are gun quieters. I need to go to the gun store and buy another exhaust tube. Sounds legit, says Anthony. Yeah, no, I think the muffler, the maximum muffler. That's for sure. Let's see what I would look at here. See what's going on. Jeannie makes a valid point. DUI accidents or killing children is a greater risk than firearms death. Yep. No, I mean, have you seen the medical malpractice deaths in the country? Medical malpractice deaths, something like 10 times the death of firearms deaths. Hello. There are many, many things that are deadlier than firearms in this study. In 2023, there were 46,000 gun deaths in 2023. 46,000 in a country of 330 million people. 46,728. You want to know how many of those were actual homicides, not suicides? Because suicides account for nearly 60% of that number. That means in a country of 330 million people, there were 17,750 odd homicides. Now, each one of those, again, individually, is a tragedy. Absolute tragedy. Not saying that it's not. But in a country of 330 million people, that's a statistical anomaly. I mean, that's a blip. That's almost a rounding error. Again, each one individually is tragic, but it's crazy. Sorry, somebody sending me a text message. Let me go back over here and see what else. Have we got any other comments here? Maximus Mufflerus. Yeah, let's remember what Memorial Day really means. Thank you, Willie. Thank you for that comment right there. I appreciate it. Do I have enough time for this story? I don't know if I do. If not, I'll save it for next week. It's kind of long. I'll save it for next week. I've only got a couple minutes here. But this whole California gun control issue, no match for sixth graders. Sixth graders are getting around gun laws. That's how useless the laws are. Again, criminals, by their very definition, break the law. I just wanted to point that out to you, just in case you were wondering. Criminals, by their very definition, break the law. Should not be surprising to those of us who've been watching this stuff for a long time to understand that your law, your law doesn't matter to them. Anybody who doesn't care about the law, who has broken with societal norms, doesn't really care if you put just one more law on the books. One more law. I'm sorry, I'm going back through here. Therapeutic misadventures. You sign that and you won't sue you when you enter the hospital. Okay. Anthony says, I say we just take the pro-abortion movement and twist it back on them with a suppressor. You're violating my bodily autonomy by denying me the required services to eliminate tinnitus. That's right. This is a health and safety issue. It's a health and general welfare issue. That's what it is. Not only is it my God-given Second Amendment right, it's a health and safety issue. How dare you? How dare you do that? Not interested. Not interested. Thank you, Miguel. Miguel just wanted to say thank you, Mike, for keeping us informed and staying on top of our state issues, etc. It's my pleasure. It really is. This is like I said earlier this week, we were talking about this. This is very therapeutic for me because I discovered that I don't want to be an angry person. And so I get a chance to talk about what's bothering me every morning. And then I set it aside. And I'm able to move on with the rest of the week. That's how it works. I like that. That's what's good for me. So there you go. Hey. Let's get things going on here. All right, we're ready to go. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube-y things. Let's get to it. Here we go. All right. We're ready to go. The weekend. Willie Waffle. WaffleMovies.com. It's not a weekend without Willie. You can't spell weekend without Willie, without a little Will. Anyway, hi. How's it going, buddy? All I can do is.
But this is like the ultimate weekend. This is a holiday weekend. We're going to party. We're going to stay out late. We're going to, skip some school.
You are? Because I'm
play some pool.
I'm going to not party or stay out. I may stay up late, but I'm not going to stay out late. I'll be on my couch. It'll be, that'll be the whole thing. It's the long weekend. Again, reminder, folks, I'll be off the air on Monday, but you'll live. Yep, we'll do it. All right. Well, let's dive into it, man. There's a lot of good news. There's a lot of good things, weird, interesting things happening. And you got a couple good movies here that at least maybe one good movie. We'll see what it looks like. So let's start off with the news. The news, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but this is some new breaking news on the whole Mariska Hargitay of Law and Order fame, whose mom was James Mansfield. She said she was going to do a documentary. That's what we talked about before, but now it's dropped at Cannes Film Festival, and oh baby, there's some big news in this thing.
Woof. Look, dude. Okay. When I heard she was doing it, I thought, well, isn't that nice? She's going to tell this wonderful story about her mother, and we're going to get behind the scenes kind of home videos, and that'll be very intimate. And I'm sure it'll be this just wonderful love fest. And then people saw the movie at the Cannes Film Festival, and Mariska Hargitay revealed that her father, Mickey Hargitay, who we have all referred to as her father for all these years, is not actually her biological dad.
What?
Oh my God. So Mariska was born very late in the the marriage between Mickey Hargitay, who was an actor and a bodybuilder at the time and had done several movies with Jane Mansfield and Jane Mansfield. And, they were pretty much breaking up. They were getting divorced. And they were kind of on again, off again, on again. Well, during one of the off agains, she had a relationship with a Las Vegas performer named Nelson Sardelli.
Oh.
And Mariska found out about 36 years ago that's her daddy.
Oh.
Now, she has said publicly, and I think she talked about this in the movie. I know she talked about it after it played, and she was talking to, doing interviews and things. She said, Mickey Hargitay is my dad. Like, let's not mix that up.
Yeah, don't get twisted.
He's the guy who raised me.
Yeah.
He's the guy I love. He's the guy who loves me. This other dude just happened to be like the bio dad.
Right. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time, right? I mean, that's what it was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and how was it received at Cannes, just out of curiosity?
Well, after Jaws were picked up off the floor, people said, yeah, this is a pretty good movie. Now it's going to be on HBO starting June 27th.
Okay.
So you just got to wait a month for that. Then you'll get all the frilly, fun, loving, fuzzy stuff, right?
Crazy. All right. Let's move over. Also on HBO or HBO Max or HBO Go or whatever the hell they're calling it these days. It was for many years that, the street that you know and love. Now it's moving to Netflix.
Yeah, Sesame Street. New episodes will be airing on Netflix later this year. Now, HBO Max is gonna kind of house the older stuff, the archival stuff, for a few more years. I think their deal ends in 2027. But Netflix is going to have the new episodes. Now they've made a deal that when the new episodes premiere, they're going to premiere on HBO Max, or I'm sorry, on Netflix, as well as on PBS and the PBS Kids app. So, they're not cutting out the people who have been watching it on public television, which I think is a very nice thing to do. And let's face it, Netflix is how a lot of people consume their programming now.
Exactly.
So, they may not necessarily catch it when it premieres at a specific time, a specific day on PBS. They'll get it on Netflix when they're ready for it. So it's a good win for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't seen an episode of Sesame Street in 40 years, but there you go. So maybe longer than that. All right, what else? The Hallmark Channel. The Hallmark Channel.
Yeah,
it's got all this happy Christmas movies. It's got the things. It's actually generated its own phrase of just like a Hallmark movie kind of thing. Well, now they're teaming up with the NFL again. They just like they did for the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Now they're drafting a new team.
This one kind of comes a little close to home for me, folks. They are shooting the movie right now in good old Buffalo, New York. It will be called The Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story, and it is the story about two families who live in the glow of Bills Stadium, and they're big Bills fans. They've been fans their whole lives, and they celebrate the game before Christmas together. And well, it's pretty obvious that the boy from one family and the girl from another family are crazy in love with each other and just haven't been pushed yet. And so a mystery will bring them together. And this is the funny part. So you already know you're going to get a lot of Bills players. Okay, Coach Sean McDermott's going to be there. Damar Hamlin. They're going to bring back legends like Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas. God, Scott Norwood's going to be there. People who are Bills fans, when I say Scott Norwood, you're like, oh, dude, he's probably going to miss it. But anyways, here's the thing. Tony Danza was billed as the big star of this movie.
Okay.
That changed like Wednesday.
Oh wow.
So they literally started making the movie on Monday up in Buffalo. On Wednesday, it was announced that Tony suddenly has an unavoidable scheduling issue and has to drop out of the movie. So one of the stars of the movie is Mr. Steven Sciarippa. People may remember him from The Sopranos. And they have brought us a Sopranos reunion Joey Pantoliano is taking over Tony Danza's role.
Joey Pants is going to take over.
Joey Pants, baby.
Joey Pants. That's not something. That's not a. And wow. Okay. All right. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. Joey Pants is going to be the. All right. I might watch it
in
just
a
for
Hallmark
him.
movie.
In a Hallmark
I
movie.
would too.
I'd watch it
He's
just
a
for
good
Joey.
actor.
Yeah, he's good for just for that. All right. And when's this is coming out? It's being produced now, but it's coming out on the holidays.
Yeah, well, Hallmark doesn't have to spend a lot of money on special effects.
Well, yeah, but I'm just thinking, how are you filming a movie in Buffalo right now that's supposed to be a Christmas movie when there's snow? And I mean, I guess.
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, it's been kind of cold upstate this last week, so they have that going for them. The other thing is they're just going to dress like it's winter, and as soon as somebody calls cut, they're going to rip those jackets off and have the blowers going on them and do everything they can to save them from the heat because it's going to get warm over the holiday weekend. It's going to get back to summer by Monday, and Joey Pants is not going to want to be wearing pants by Monday. Okay.
Well,
so
every shot you
see
see
how it goes.
Every shot you see him from the waist up, he'll be in boxers. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Toy Story. You thought the story was over, but it's not because, of course, it's not. Disney's going to milk this ride for all it's worth. Toy Story 5.
Yes, it is. It is Toy Story 5. It is going to be coming out next year. It's opening up June 19th, 2026. They haven't quite revealed what the plot's going to be, but there's been enough kind of talk about it, enough little rumor going on that the plot is going to revolve around modern kids' fascination with electronics and the role our good old friends from Toy Story are going to play to maybe help them realize there's a little bit more in life than your computer and your iPad. And in what I think is going to be brilliant casting that I'm looking forward to, casting that's already making me giddy, there's going to be a new character called Smarty Pants. And he will be voiced by Conan O'Brien.
All right. Well, I'm all good with that. I mean, it's still going to have Woody. It's still going to have.
Yeah, you're going to have Buzz Lightyear with Tim Allen. You're going to have Woody with Tom Hanks. They're going to bring. I think John Ratzenberger has to be in it, right? He's got to be in it,
right?
There's a whole bunch of folks who are going to be back in it, and I think it's. Listen, I love the Toy Story movies. I think they're a lot of fun. I still think. That climactic scene in Toy Story 3 may still be the most emotional scene I've ever witnessed in a movie. That's because we love them.
Yeah,
now we're going to get them for Toy Story 5.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we'll look forward to that. That's June of 2026, right? When that's coming out.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, they even called it, man, June 19th.
Oh, they've got it locked. Okay. All right.
That is like the Disney animated weekend. If you go back, you will see that they always release a big animated movie that precise weekend. They've done it for years.
Right.
And this is going to be their movie next year.
Well, you know who else does stuff on a certain time every year? And that, of course, is Free Comic Book Day, and it's always in May. And usually when Marvel's doing their stuff, they release a huge Marvel movie on that same weekend. But is that going to happen or not this next year?
Breaking news just came across last night. Disney has announced that they are flipping their schedule around a little bit. Avengers Doomsday, which was supposed to release on May 1st of next year, 2026, has now been delayed. It will be opening December 18th, 2026. It shall be Disney's gift to the entire Marvel universe
for the Christmas season. Well, that's kind of it's because that's like one of the big kickoffs for the summer season is like if a Marvel movie's coming out that year, then that was always the big kickoff, right? So.
Oh yeah, usually it's that first weekend in May is really the summer movie season kicking off. Hey, Thunderbolts came out that weekend this year, and they come out that weekend a lot. Disney is going to plug the Devil Wears Prada sequel into that weekend. I suspect they're going to get a lot more competition, to be honest with you.
Right.
But this also is going to delay the Avengers Secret War, which was supposed to come out in around Christmas of 2020. Or I'm sorry, it was supposed to come out May 7th of 2027. Now will be pushed to December 18th, 2027. So
Oh.
now they're going to take up Christmas, for 2026, 2027. There also going to be these Avatar movies. I'm kind of curious what happens there.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll watch
Yeah.
that. Well, let's move over to the movies. We got two. We got about 3.5, 4 minutes here. Let's start off with the live action Lilo and Stitch. Now, I've seen some rushes of this, and I'm like, I mean, it's more of a. Tell me what you think.
It's totally a kid's movie. But here's the thing. Live action. Dude, Stitch, your main character, is still a CGI character.
Right.
There are many CGI characters in this movie. Now, if you remember the original story, it's pretty close to the original story, right? Stitch is like this weapon of destruction that's been created to just cause mayhem everywhere he goes. And well, they're going to ship him out of the United Federation of Planets, or whatever they call their group, and he escapes. He lands in Hawaii. He's found by a cute little girl, Lilo, played by Maya Kealoha, who is adorable and will steal the movie in every scene. Totally does. Okay, like you're like, I want my kid to be just like this kid. This is the kid I want to take home. Right. And of course, she's going to teach him about what it's like to be part of a family. As the FBI's after him. There's Secret Services after him. His own aliens are after him. They've snuck down to Earth and they're trying to catch him. It's not going to go well here. It is nonstop crazy antic action. I mean, it is a kids movie in that sense in every way. And hey, they throw you a bone every once in a while if you're an adult when they talk about the family and you see the cute little kid. But I'm going 3 waffles.
Oh, wow.
Because it is entertaining. It is fun. It is entertaining. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I think Stitch is hilarious. I think the aliens that come down here. So the funny part is they have these aliens and they have take lifelike human bodies. Played by Zach Galifianakis and I'm forgetting the other one, Billy Magnuson. And so they're not used to those vessels, and you get half of your laughs just watching these guys with their physical comedy trying to get used to having human bodies. So I'm at 3 waffles. I'm there.
Okay, all right. That leaves us with about 90 seconds here for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This impossibly long movie, right? I mean, but it's good.
It's so good. I mean, listen. Okay, it's about 3 hours, but it's worth it. It is a summation of all the movies. Now, you're saying, oh, God, do I have to go back and watch all the other movies? No, because they give you clips. They let you know what they're referring to. They catch up to what's going on. And what we're finding out is that all the actions that Ethan Hunt has taken over the years have all led to this moment. And you're going to be shocked at all the different things that happened, or at least they said happened, to lead to this movie. And so you have a lot of fun there. You've got tons of action. It's Tom Cruise in an action movie. And there's plane chases, and there's he's running places, and stuff's blowing up, and there are fight scenes, and he's diving to the bottom of the ocean. And I'm just like, I'm at 3.5 waffles. I am having a good time.
Wow. Okay. Well, I love me some Mission Impossible. I will not lie. And I've been waiting for the second half to come out so I can watch the first half. I haven't watched it yet. So we're going to have to watch that in. 3.5 waffles for Mission Impossible, 3 waffles for Lilo and Stitch. It's a good movie weekend. Willie Waffle, thank you, my friends. Folks, we are out of time. We will see you on Tuesday. Don't forget, I'm off. Don't send me angry messages, okay? I'm going to be sleeping. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. And remember why we have Memorial Day. Okay. I didn't watch the first one, but I watched the one before that. I mean, every one of these is like daredevilish. I mean, great acting. I mean, great characters, great bad guys. One of my favorite ones is still the Mission Impossible 2, which was done by John Woo and has Dougray Scott as the bad guy. I thought that's one of my favorite ones to this day.
Oh yeah.
Does it compare?
Oh no, they totally do. What I really like about the Mission Impossible movies, they're the ultimate heist movie. Like literally,
Oh,
every
yeah.
movie is just they have a series of heists that they have to pull off, and you get to see them put the plan together. You get to see them carry the plan out. You get to see what happens when the plan goes awry, and and it's the exciting part of that kind of that ebb and flow, that roller coaster that you're on. That's so much fun. Now the last one, which was it was like the Reckoning, or the part 1, the Reckoning, whatever they called Mission Impossible 7. It does do a good job standing on its own as a Mission Impossible movie.
Okay.
Now, it does set up this movie. There are characters and story that you would like to get in that movie to watch this movie, but I think they do a really good job with the final Reckoning. This movie kind of just reminding you what's going on. There's almost like a little recap at the beginning to let you know, okay, this is where you next. And by the way, here's other scenes all throughout the movie that harken back to, hey, remember this thing that happened in number 3? Well, it was kind of important. Hey, remember this thing that happened in number 1? Well, it was kind of important.
Uh-oh.
And they really pull it all together. And it's so cool. It's so cool. I loved the callbacks. I thought the callbacks were the best part of the story, to be honest with you.
I love that. But it really does make me want to have a Mission Impossible marathon just before I go see it, just so that I can get caught up on all the craziness. But this is the last one, right? I mean, Tom Cruise is what, 57 now or something?
He's 62, my friend.
62. He's like, I'm
He
done.
is 62.
I'm done. I can't do these stunts
Exactly.
anymore. I can't do these stunts anymore.
No. He said he wants to keep. Yeah, okay, now listen. Now he said he wants to. He's been doing a lot of interviews for Mission Impossible. He said he wants to keep making movies into the time when he's in his hundreds. And he said, I just want to keep making action movies. I like doing it. I still could do it. Why should I stop?
Yeah.
Now, this is supposed to be the last Mission Impossible. That's kind of what they're selling you. But you and I know, in Hollywood, if you have an opportunity to make another movie that will make $1 billion, they're probably going to do that.
Yeah, right. Mission Impossible Resurrection. Mission Impossible Geriatric Ward. I mean, it'll be... I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. All right. Well, good. Well, sounds like it's a good weekend to be a movie geek. So I love it. I love it. So, all right, my friend. Well, thank you for coming on board. And anything else you're watching over the weekend that we need besides Thunderbolts? I promised I wouldn't give you a hard time about it.
I know. I want to get caught up on some streaming stuff that I haven't seen that I'm interested in. I'm still following the John Hamm Apple TV Plus show, Your Friends and Neighbors, which is coming down to its last couple episodes, which I really enjoy a lot. It's kind of a little bit of a satire and a commentary about the ultra rich in this world, but it's becoming more of a soap opera in the last few episodes. I don't know if I'm happy about that, but I want to see where it goes. I want to see how it ends.
Okay.
So I'm still on board. So if you haven't seen it, Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV Plus with John Hamm.
And the final episode of Mobland is supposed to drop tonight or maybe this weekend. So my wife and I are probably going to binge that whole series because we've been waiting for Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren and Tom Hardy. That looks sick. I mean, I can't wait.
It looks good.
It looks real good. All right, my friend. Well, I will catch you next week. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy some stuff, and thanks for coming on board.
You got it. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, folks. We'll see you, bebbies. We'll see you, bebbies. Hello, Bubby. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Enjoy your time off. We'll see you then.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Dukes Show. Buddy. Thing back at it. Should not.
Welcome.